All right. Um, we're gonna do. We're gonna rock out real quick. We're gonna go through some progressions um, and talk about what's going on, Levi. Go through some progressions. We're gonna talk about um, how to look at certain deals, how to go through those deals to see which ones you should be, how you should attack those deals. And then after we go through that and go through some numbers, we're going to go and look at opening up for some Q&A. We'll keep this one kind of light. I know some people want to watch it. I don't watch the Super Bowl, but I'll hear about the highlights. But as long as you guys want to stay on, we'll stay on. But we're going to keep this one nice and light. So first things first, man. Some of you guys saw that. Let me put this on mute here. Mute off. All right. So some of you guys saw that I just got another Airbnb property for myself. And I've had a lot of questions about that Airbnb property. And before I get into those, just kind of want to tell you guys, it didn't start off as an Airbnb property. That wasn't, when I went to that appointment, that was not the, what's going on, Cedric? That was not the initial reason why I went out there for Airbnb. Okay. And the more and more I talk to people about this, the more and more I realize that I think sometimes as wholesalers, we get stuck in wholesale mode and then we don't keep options open and then we miss out on deals that, that are right there in front of us. And so this is what I do every single time when I look at a property. I just look at the progression of it and whether or not, what tool should I use to accomplish getting rid of this property or selling it or buying it? Okay. So if you guys are taking notes, excuse me, my voice, man, I've been talking all day. So obviously, number one, we want to try to wholesale this thing, right? So we're going to wholesale this thing for a fix and flipper, right? So we'll do wholesale. I'm just going to be WH for right now. I don't feel like writing it all out. For a fix and flip. So F and F, right? Fix and flip. So this is our typical stuff where we're finding it, we're trying to get it as cheap as possible, right? We're trying to get it as cheap as possible so that we can have enough meat on the bone that we can do the renovation or someone can do the renovation and pay us our fee and they can still make a profit. So next to this we need to understand this has to have the most profit margin. Most profit margin. So this one is going to be obviously what? Harder to find because we only have a couple people on here. So do me a favor because I know you guys don't know this, or some of you might not know this. On the Zoom, I'm seeing chats come across. If there's something you need to ask me, just take yourself off mute and ask me, and then put yourself back on mute because I have to go to a whole nother screen. So wholesaling for fix and flip has to have the most profit margin, okay? So obviously, out of 100 homes, only about 3 of those are going to work. 2 to 3 of those are going to work, right, for abandoned property homes. So you can see you have to go through a large amount of numbers to make this work. Now, the second thing, so if I go through this and I see that, okay, man, this seller is not going to be down in the price range that I need to be at. It's an ARV of 100 with the repairs and my fee. I need to get under contract for like 25. Excuse me. If that's not working, if I can't get that down to that, I don't just abandon this deal, right? I move down to the next evolution. The next evolution would be for a buy and hold, for a rental, for a straight rental, okay? Oops, for a straight rental. So the next evolution is going to be a rental, and what are we going to do for this to figure this out? Here we know it's ARV times 0.7 minus repairs, minus our fee as our max allowable offer, right? Here, what are we looking at? We're looking at our rental rate, right? Times 12 months, minus our operating expenses, divided by the entire amount that we get into the property. So rental rate time, times 12 months, okay? So that's going to give us a number, minus our operating expenses, OE, operating expenses, divided by our all-in, or the investors all-in. Again, if you guys are on chat, I'm seeing chats come through, but it messes the screen up when I go back to it. So just take yourself off mute and ask the question if you can. So investors all in. Okay.
Hey,
so,
Tommy.
Yes.
Hi, it's Kat. Someone said your mic is low, but I can hear you fine.
Okay. All right. I don't know. Whoever that is, sorry about that. I don't know if it's my end or your end. I apologize. But try to turn it up. See if you can.
Yeah, it's kind of low over here, Tommy.
It is low?
Yeah, on my end, at least.
I don't know what's the...
I hear you fine. Are you guys sure you have your, on the top left hand of your screen, you have the volume on instead of like off and then turned all the way up? Just make sure you click that button.
It was my end. Sorry about that. Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. Okay.
Okay, cool. Appreciate that, Kat. So wholesale doesn't work. Man, I can't get that seller down. All right, well, for a rental, what's the key differentiating factor between an HGTV fix and flip and a rental? It's the cost of the renovation, right? So I don't have to put in granite countertops in my my rental, right? I don't have to put in the 42-inch, upper cabinets, right? Certain things I don't have to do the stainless steel appliances, so I can save money. And if I'm saving money on the rehab, then I can afford to pay a little bit more, or they can afford to pay a little bit more on the actual acquisition. So let's just say the same exact example up here, where for a fix and flip, I needed to get them down to $25,000, right? In order for this to be a deal. If I'm doing it for a rental, I might only need to get them to $40,000, because the $25,000 purchase up here, I'm going to have to put, another $30,000 into it, not including my wholesale fee. Where the rental, I might only have to put, $15,000 into it to make it work. All right. So I can afford to pay more for this rental property, or the end investor. The end investor can afford to pay more for this rental property than for this one. So I'm moving down my tier here. Okay. So now we're going to 3. So I can't do this. Maybe I can do a subject to. Okay. So maybe I can do a subject to. So again, the first 2 are what? They have higher profit margins. We still need to get that rental down, but I don't have to get it all the way down. I don't have to get it down too much, okay? So subject to, and yes, it's to, like TO, not the number 2. I see some people say that all the time. It's subject to existing financing. So this is exactly what I was thinking about with this Airbnb property. As I got the property, I'm like, okay, can I flip it? Can I sell it? No. All right. Actually, when I went there, I went on the appointment to try to do the rental thing. The mortgage on this property was $850. Actually, it started off at $850 and it just went up to $950 because taxes went up. So PITI, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, comes to $950 every single month. Well, when you go to rentalmeter.com, or you just check out what the rental rates are in that particular neighborhood. The rents are $1,100 for that property, right? That type of a home. It's about $1,100, but I'm paying $950 to only make $1,100. To me, that didn't make any sense, right? It didn't make any sense. So rentals were out. Subject to, though, the guy owed 106, and it was probably the ARV on this thing, if I was to put a little bit of effort into it, would have been in the 130s. But I would have had to put at least $20,000 into that property to get it to 130. So I'm buying it for 106. If I put 20 into it to get to that 130, it just doesn't make any sense. I'm at 126. By the time I play closing costs and everything else, I'm above that 130. And let's not even think about trying to sell it and having to pay a real estate agent if I don't find the buyer, right? So subject to, though, if you don't, just very short version of it is subject to existing financing, which means I don't actually, on paper, I own the property. On paper, I'm deeded to the property, excuse me. But the financing stays in the other owner's home, okay? Other homeowner's name, Lord Almighty. So the mortgage on the property stays in, the guy's name is John Jackson, actually. So it stays in his name, but I'm the one that actually pays it, okay? So I pay it every single month, and I'm deeded the property, okay? And typically you can do that. You can do that for if you want to rent it. You can do that if you want to flip it. You want to sell it, whatever you want to do, okay? So that didn't work out for this particular property. It just we could have done that, but I found a better solution that cost a little bit less on the legal side of things, okay? So what I did was I decided to do an Airbnb, which would bring you down to your next tier, okay? So this is more of a strategy of how to utilize the property. The subject to, you can use that subject to get into the property, but this is more of a utilization type of a strategy, okay? Saying like this is a utilization strategy, this is a utilization strategy. This subject to is how do I get into the property, but you can also use that the whole point is to get control of the property. So I did an Airbnb, but I did it through a lease option. I'm just gonna put LO. You guys can write it out if you are taking notes. Lease option, okay? Now, here's the thing about lease options. A lot of times people do lease options and they do them in a way where it's really not smart. Here's just the statistics on it. If you do a lease option, most of the time, a lease option will go through its cycle 3 to 4 times before someone exercises that option. And so a lease option, or some people will call it a rent to own. If you guys ever heard of a rent to own, it's the same thing. What I'm doing is I'm leasing the property, so I'm paying rent. Really, I'm not. I'll kind of explain to you how I've done it. But typically, you're paying rent, but the option, the option of it is that I put down a sum of money that locks me in, that typically gives me first right of refusal to purchase the property, okay? And normally it's a 12 or 24 month lease. So you find a property, the homeowner is like, they just want to get rid of it. They don't want to deal with the payments. They don't really need a lump sum of money right now. They just need to get rid of the payments, okay? They don't want to pay it on anymore. So they say, listen, we will do a lease option where you can rent this property. If you pay us a certain amount of money, we will give you the option to purchase the property at the end of the lease for the market value of the property, okay? And that's typically how it is. But what happens is most investors know that the reason why people do this is because they don't have good credit. And so they're trying to build their credit, right? So they're figuring, I'm gonna lease this thing for 12 months. By that time, my credit will be better. Then I can go through traditional financing and then get the property, right? So that's typically what happens with people. That's typically why people do the lease option. And what happens at the end of the 12 months? At the end of the 12 months, they don't really fix their credit and they can't get the property. And therefore, the money that they put up as an option fee is now gone. if you utilize the option, that money comes off. So let me give you some real numbers. A house is selling for, let's say, $120,000. Typically, on the option fee, it's typically about 10%. 10% of what the purchase price would be for that day. So if I went to go buy it today, and if it was worth $120,000, I would typically have to bring 10% up. So $12,000. Here's my option fee. That allows me to get first right of refusal. And if I exercise that option, the $12,000 comes off the balance. So if we say that, hey, we think this is going to be worth $120,000, I put 12 up. That gives me the option. And if I utilize that option and I get a loan, now the loan will be for 108. This makes sense because we took the 12,000 that I gave up front off the 120, right? But if I do not utilize that option, I forfeit my $12,000. So this is why a lot of homeowners will use this, because if they know that, hey, most of the time it's going to go through 3-4 times before I actually find someone who's going to fix their credit so they can get into the house, okay? And they're getting their monthly rent every single month, hopefully, and they're getting that, $10,000, $12,000 hit up front. And typically people take care of the house better because they move into the property thinking that one day I'm going to own this property. So they're not dogging it out like other tenants normally do. Okay. So that's how it's normally done. What I did is I did a lease option to capture the equity. So in order for me to get into this property, I would either have to buy it straight out. Okay. Or I could have done a lease option. Now, what I did is I found out what the problem was. This guy needed some money. He was going through some personal stuff. Started off at $6,000, but finally got him down to $5,500. So I gave him $5,500. He had a tenant there in place, so I gave him $2,750 up front as good faith. And then he told the tenant that they had 60 days to leave, which ended January 31st. And on January 31st, I met him there, or it was February 1st, I can't remember which day. And I met him with the other $2,750 plus the mortgage. The mortgage was $950. And what that did is I locked in my contract, I locked in and I captured all the equity. So he's been paying equity on this thing for the last 7 years, okay? The last 7 years, he's been paying faithfully on his mortgage, okay? And when he bought it, I think he bought it, I can't remember. I think he bought it like at 118 or something like that, and it's down to 106. So he put a down payment on it, and he's down to 100. I know he's down to $106,000 on the mortgage. So he's paid for at least $12,000, maybe even $14,000 worth of equity that are in it. Plus, it appreciated from the time that he bought till now. So all that equity. So let's just draw a little timeline here. So we're here, and it's right now the mortgage on it is $106,000. Okay, and he's been paying on it since it was here 7 years ago, right? Or let me put 7 up here. So from 7 years ago, he's been paying on this thing to get this down to here. All this time he's been paying, now all this equity I capture. I own this. So this is all mine now. So he's paid for my equity. I own. Okay. Now also, what's happening is that the mortgage payment is $950. So from this point forward, right, what I've also done in my contract is that I've also constructed the contract so that when I, in 3 years, I have a 3-year option contract. So in 3 years, I'll be paying the mortgage, or actually tenants will be paying the mortgage, Airbnb people will be paying the mortgage for the next 3 years. So let's say I take this 106 and I get this 106 all the way down to, let's just say in 3 years, let's say 95, right? So I get down to $95,000 and over the next 3 years. Now, this equity from here all the way to here is all mine. And what did I get into the property for? $5,500. So I got into the property for $5,500, and that's it. And all this other equity I capture. and I haven't paid for these mortgage payments because my Airbnb clients have paid for these mortgage. Actually, they're going to pay for way more than my mortgage payments. Okay. So when I'm looking for properties, I'm looking, okay, does this one work? It doesn't work. Check that one off. Does it work as a rental? Nah, because this particular neighborhood only rents for $1,100 and my mortgage is $950. That just doesn't make any sense. I'm not going to make any money off of that. The subject to, yeah, I could do a subject to and then do this, but if I do a subject to and do this, then I have to pay a couple other things, which is, and it gets a little more complicated. Excuse me, you have to go through a lawyer because you want to make sure everything's done correctly, and lawyers aren't cheap. And it might have came out to about the same price, but this is the way I did it this way. Oh, and I forgot to mention that in this, I'm literally paying, like I don't pay him the $950. I got the account to his mortgage company, and I log in on the computer and I pay it directly, so I know that the mortgage is paid. Okay. Now, if you guys didn't get a chance to see the thing on the Airbnbs, I highly suggest you take a look at that because it would take me a while to explain that again. But essentially, you're kind of doing Airbnbs kind of like you find the ARV for a property, where you're just going to log on to Airbnb and see what the houses are going for in that particular neighborhood, where they're renting for per night. But I can't stress this enough. You got to make your Airbnb an experience, not just another place. Like if you guys look here, I have a couch, right? I have a TV, right? It's every Airbnb has a couch. Now I also have my ceilings in here I think these ceilings are 22 feet high, and that wood that's up there is over 100 years old, right? So it's an experience to be in a property like that, right? If I have a pool table or a movie theater, it's an experience that's going to set you apart from every other Airbnb, because every other Airbnb is going to have a bed. Every other Airbnb is going to have a coffee table. It's going to have a couch. They're all going to be the same, right? They're all going to have, there might be a different couch. One couch might be better. But when you book an Airbnb, you don't actually feel it. It's nothing that's tactile. The only thing that you can do is see it. You can't even hear anything. You can't hear the sounds. You can't hear if there's sirens going on in the background. The only thing you can do is you're clicking off of an app on your phone, and it's all visual. Okay. I don't even believe they have a video feature. I'm not sure, but I don't think there's a video feature. Okay. So it's all pictures. So if I see one place that has a bed and a couch, and I see another place that has a bed and a couch, plus a movie theater and an air hockey table, and it's close to the same price, maybe even $30, $40, $50 more, guess which one I'm booking? That's the one I'm booking. So understanding that and being able to walk your clients through and say, listen, I know it doesn't work for this, it doesn't work for this, but what do you think about this? That's the progression I want you guys to go through. That's the progression I want you to learn. Here, underneath Airbnb, you can put just commercial, do com because it takes too long, right? Commercial rentals or leasing, all right? So in that commercial rental or leasing space, you have VRBO, you have home away from home. You also have there's companies that you can get with that have students that come from abroad that need a place to stay, and they'll pay $950 to $1,000+ per room. And here's the thing, is that the students get to pick which place they want to stay in. Now, it's a little bit more intensive because the higher the pay, you have to provide a couple of other things, right? So some of them, they require that you at least provide breakfast and dinner, right? But you're getting paid almost $1,000 per room. So if you got, like my particular place is a 3-bedroom, that's $3,000, and I'm only paying $950, right? So let me get up make sure everybody has this. If you do have it, again, this is just the progression. Can it wholesale it? No, it can't wholesale. Can I do a rental? Let's see if I can do a straight rental. What's the ROI? I want at least, a 10 cap, right? 10%. All right. We've showed that how to do that a couple of times. How am I going to get into it? Can I do a subject to? If I do, what other options do I have? Airbnb or commercial rental? And that's literally how I look at pretty much every single property. Okay. Let me stop sharing here. You guys, we have any questions? Any questions on this stuff? Yeah, go ahead, Antoine.
Yeah, valuable call today, but I ran across a property, right? There's a guy, he really want to get out of this property. I can't wholesale it. So I'm thinking of a subject to, I'm not too familiar with it. You kind of broke it down. Basically, if I control like the property and I pay it, basically, can he want to move and get another property? So my main thing is get him on a contract. I go through the subject to where, like I said, I'm making sure I'm paying it. But would he be able to go get another property? Like, will he be able to like buy another house, basically?
It depends on his credit, because remember, when you do a subject to, so if you're doing this, if you're the seller, right? And I'm trying to get it under subject to, the mortgage stays in your name.
Right.
You deed the property to me. So it's checks and balances, right? Because as a subject to property, the check on my side is that it's deeded to me, right?
Okay.
The check on your side is that I'm going to also improve the property. So if I default on my end, you get a property that's in better condition than when you left it, right?
Okay.
So whether or not he can get another property is really going to determine on his credit and his income, right? Because if he makes enough income where he can, because he's going to have to, unless he just has cash, but he probably doesn't if he's doing this.
Yeah, he don't.
So he's probably going to look to get finance for another property.
Right.
They're going to look like, well, hold on, you got this other property on Main Street that you got to get rid of that, or because you don't make enough money to pay for both of them. And he's going to say, no, Antoine actually is paying the mortgage on that. And that's where you can get into trouble. Not really get into trouble, but you need to be careful, because pretty much every single mortgage paperwork has something called a due on sale clause,
Right.
which means that really, your seller is supposed to be paying the mortgage. And so anytime there's a deed transfer, anytime that something can affect the title or of that property, all right, they can say, hey, you've changed the agreement. Because when we sign all those paperwork, there's freaking 1,000 pieces of paper when you get a mortgage.
Right.
None of that can be changed. As soon as you put me on the deed, that's a change, and they can say, listen, you changed that. We want all of our money right now. So in my particular case, where it's owned for $106,000, if they found out that, hey, that's why one of the reasons why I didn't want to do that, right? But if they found out, hey, Tommy's now paying the mortgage, right? It's not really coming from so and so. At this point, the way it's structured right now through this lease option, they can't do anything. But if I had it deeded to me, then that's different, because now I have part ownership of that property. And they can say, hey, hold on, that's not fair. That's a change in the contract. Tommy was never a part of this deal. We need all our money right now. And he would be on the hook for the entire 106. So your guy or girl is going to have to, unless he or she makes enough money to afford 2 mortgages,
No,
it's not gonna work.
ain't gonna work. I got you. So only if I can get it myself, if I feel it's a big enough deal, like.
Yeah, I mean, just walking through that progression. Through the progression.
Cool. I understand though. Like, cool. Appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Cool. All right. Any other questions? Let's see. Going to the chat. All right. Cool. Anything else? We got the mics fixed so everybody can hear. We're good.
Hey, Tommy, I got a quick question for you.
Yep.
Just so I'm understanding this lease option correctly, for the Airbnb lease option, you own the property, or you just own the option at this point?
At this particular moment, right now, I own the option. He can't sell that property to anybody else. I can sell the property. Like right now, if I wanted to sell the property, I
Yeah.
could sell.
Okay. Okay. Then do you intend on holding it afterwards?
I do.
Okay. All right, that makes sense. And then I had another question. I see you're recording these, but where are you putting them, particularly so that I can kind of like review them or look back on some of them? Because I know that there was one that I had wanted to look into, but I wasn't sure where to find it.
Yeah, so they go on to the Facebook group.
Okay, so it's in the Facebook group. As you guys.
Sometimes, who does these? Zoom. Sometimes Zoom takes, an hour to put them on there so I can transfer them over there.
Yeah.
Sometimes they take like a day and a half.
All right. Yeah, no, I mean that makes sense. I was referring to like a previous one that I wanted to look into.
Okay, which one is that?
The one with the lines of credit, the business lines of credit.
Oh, with Don. Okay, I can see if we still have that one because I'll look for it. I'll look for it.
Okay. All right. Cool. That works.
All right. Anybody else? Anybody got any deals they're working on? Well, I just want to know your deal. Brennan, you got any deals, man? What you working on, fam?
I don't have no deals. I'm just getting started, so I gotta go back through and get, like you said, find the recordings and figure out where to start. Honestly.
Okay. How long you been
First
in the course? How long you been in the course?
Well, like a week. I think I joined like maybe a week ago.
Did you get on into any of the course material?
No.
Okay, yeah. So that's gonna be your first starting point.
Okay.
Get into the course material and start going through those modules, man. So that way you
Okay.
get familiar with the terminology and just everything that's going on.
Gotcha.
Cool. All right. Anything else? Nobody has any questions, man?
I got one more question for you. So when you're going into this, and let's say you get a lead, and before you go on the appointment, obviously you're doing some preliminary information on it. Do you run all these 4 scenarios and look at that point what your options are, or do you wait until you're actually with the seller to think about what those options could be based on what you see in the property?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So I run the wholesale option. I run a wholesale because when I go to that seller, I'm going to that seller to wholesale that property because that's where my biggest like immediate profit margin. Like over Airbnb, I will over the lifetime of it, I'll make more money, right? But for like right up front, wholesaling is where I'm going to make, my $10,000 assignment fee, right? Plus, if I can wholesale it, if I can get it at a wholesale price, then I can all those other things I can do. Make sense?
Okay.
So I'll run the numbers for a wholesale. I'll run the numbers for a wholesale, and then if I'm in the negotiation and it's just not working out, and I need them to I need them to be at 25, but they're at 40. Then what I'll typically say is like, well, Matt, let me I was really looking at this thing for flipping. I mean, with the renovations, with the cost of everything, I don't think I can get the renovation cost down low enough, but I might have another option if I can rent it, if I can buy it and hold it as a rental. I won't have to do as much of a renovation, and I might be able to get you at your price of 40, but I probably would rather be somewhere at 35. And I'll still try to squeeze another $5,000 out to show that I'm working on it. But if I can't, then I can't, right? And let's say Matt is like, no, I'm hard at 40. Like that's it. I can't do anything less than 40. I said, all right, Matt. Well, I came here to buy it for a flip. Let me do some numbers on it, and I'll get back to you. And it doesn't take much long. It doesn't take. I mean, you could literally go down the nearest Starbucks, and you can just really go down the street and just do everything from your phone, and you could figure out what it's going to cost for a rental, whether or not it'd be a good idea for a rental, and you could figure out what it's going to be for Airbnb. You could do that in 30 minutes. So that's when I'll do that stuff. But I always go for the wholesale first.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah. Go for the one that you have. Because if you can get it for wholesale, then you can do it. All the other ones, you don't need as much of a discount to do an Airbnb. Like what I'm doing now is just doing the straight rentals. Like I just went the other day and went to a property to go look at it's a duplex. It's actually this property right here, right? It's in East Point, and I want to go look at it because it's I'm gonna rent out one side. The rent is $750, and in that area, I could easily get about $90 to $95 a night. I only need, not less than 10 nights, and it's by the airport. So I'll get that all day, especially if I do a theme. If I do a theme in there, I'll be able to get 110 to 115 a night for that same place, and it'll always stay rented because Atlanta is one of the biggest airport. I think it is the largest airport. So we have people coming in all the time that want to stay close to the airport. You see what I'm saying? So it's just looking at the problem instead of just going, oh, this doesn't work. Just look at the problem from a completely different angle. And now, guess what? I don't have to worry if a tree falls on the roof. I ain't got to fix the roof because I'm renting. All the same rental rules apply. They just have to be okay with me subleasing it, which this person is. If the water pipe busts, I'm not responsible for that, right? I'm getting into the property for $750 plus a $50 application fee.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So my cost to get into the property is so much lower, and it's a rentable property, right? It's not like I got to go in there and do a renovation to it. I just got to furnish it, right? And actually, this particular property I found for someone else, but that's a whole nother strategy, right? I'm like, they're literally going to pay me $4,000 to find them an Airbnb property, like, and it's easier, right? I don't have to wholesale it, right? I don't have to skip trace because if you're renting it, you want to know who you are, right? If you were renting a property, you would want to be found. You're going to put your cell phone number down there, right? Yeah. So it's easy. I just got to go through the numbers and say, hey, I want a sublease. Nope, I don't want you. You don't want a sublease? All right, click. All right, I want a sublease. Nope. Hey, I want a sublease. Yeah, we'll sublease. Okay, cool. Let me come by and see a property, right? You're going to get 10 people that's going to tell you no, and then one person's going to say yes. And if it works out, you make money. Yep. It's the number one busiest airport. Yep, absolutely. Closed on a JV last week. Nice. Bill over there making some shmoney. I keep forgetting to tell you that, send you that deal in Trenton, Bill. Remind me, man. All right, anybody else? Anybody else? Who's voting? Who's rooting for the Patriots? If you are, go play in traffic. All right. If we don't got anything, man, we're gonna keep this one short and sweet. It's pretty straightforward, straight to the point. Just go through your progressions. Does anybody need to see that screen again? Exactly, Catherine.
Yeah, I got a question.
What's up, Willie?
Yeah, so I got an appointment tomorrow, and it's a house. It's actually pictures on Redfin. I want to know based off the pictures. I know the pictures probably like old because I think the last sold day was like 2017, but like I want to know, would you be able to look at the pictures just off the pictures, and see like a rough estimate how much you think it'll need in repairs just off the pictures?
Could I do that off of Redfin? What market are you in?
Cleveland, like it's a rental, Cleveland, Ohio.
Not really, not me personally, because I don't know the cost of construction in Cleveland. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I would only be able to tell you what it would cost here if the house was here in the Atlanta area.
Okay.
Cost of construction is gonna really determine that, man.
Okay.
But have you gotten to the repair module, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
I
got to, yeah. Huh?
You able to get in contact with any of those people, like the electricians, painters, roofers?
Yeah, I got a rough estimate probably like 40, between 40 and 45.
Okay.
That's what a rough estimate I have.
How big
I'm just saying, huh?
How big of a house is it?
Like 2,000, like 2,055.
That's a pretty big house. But again, for 40, let's say a 2,000 square foot house, if we're doing everything, roof, HVAC, electrical, plumbing, new flooring, new paint, all that stuff, 2,000 square foot house here will probably easily be about 70 to 75. Everything is going to be more. The kitchen is going to be bigger. There's more flooring. There's more paint. You got to buy a bigger HVAC unit because now you're cooling and heating. A bigger house. It's a bigger roof. So everything is going to be that same house at like a 12 to 1,400 square foot house will cost me 55 to 60.
Okay.
That costs about 75, maybe 80, depending on, a couple. So many different factors could take that renovation up. Was it 2-story?
It's a duplex.
It's a duplex. Okay. It's just number one, I don't know the Cleveland market. So, but yeah.
All right.
No problem, man. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. All right. Well, I wanted to kind of go over this real quick and then keep it nice, short, and sweet. Appreciate that, Kat. Keep it short and sweet. So in case you guys do want to go watch Super Bowl, you can. One last thing. We're going to be tomorrow. I'm just going to kind of challenge you guys a little bit. I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit. So it's going to be my little 6-week challenge. I'm really going to challenge myself. At first glance, I said 19. I might push it back to 18. I think 18 is definitely realistic. I want to challenge you guys to, for the next 6 weeks, to work 18-hour days. I know that's tough. I know that's a lot, right? But I need you to think about it. This is my goal for myself. So this for me starts tomorrow. To break down your days. This thing was so powerful today. It's funny that I saw it today, but I thought about this thing that I was going to do this last week or on Friday, excuse me. And so there's a guy that was on a podcast. He was saying that, he was trying to get a job in, I think in the finance industry, and everybody was like, oh, you need, X amount of, years of experience to get to this particular job. And so he's like, man, well, I can't get the job. I can't get the experience. Like, I just need to, how do I level up? And he said, it was so genius. He said, who's to say that I have to have a 24-hour day? You guys ever have that? You ever have that day where like you're just killing it, man? Like you got more done in like 4 hours than you would normally do in a whole entire day, right? Like, because you're organized, you got everything right, you got everything ready to go, you prepared, and everything's ready to go. And in a 4 to 6 hour day or a 4 to 6 hour time frame, you get more done than you get all day, right? I typically do that in the mornings. Like I get up nice and early and I get stuff done before it hits 10 o'clock. I'm like pretty much done with everything, okay? And so what he said is like, man, he's like, who's to say that your day has to be a 24-hour day? Time is just a figment of our imagination. It's like, who decided that there's 60 seconds in a minute? Someone just made that decision and we all just abide by it, right? He says, he breaks his days up into 6 hours. So if you get this, you subscribe to this, this is powerful, because if you can do that one time, if you can get more done in a 4 to 6 hour window, and sometimes you do all day, that means you can do that. That means that's something that's repeatable. That we've all had that experience throughout our lives where we've had those moments multiple times. The key is, how do we navigate that? How do we set it up? How do we remind ourselves every hour on the hour that we should be doing this, or we should be making phone calls for this hour. This is the time for me to call my mother. This is the time for me to check social media. This is the time for me to do contracts, and only do that in that moment, in that time slot that you have appointed, and stick to it. And so what he was able to do is he was able to level up, because where everybody was doing a 24-hour day, he was doing a 6-hour day. And so he would do a 6-hour day from 6 to 12, 6 a.m. to 12, where he would do whatever he needed to do for that particular time, that day. For him, his day was 6 hours. But then from 12 to 6, that was another day. And he focused on family time. He focused on, family time, meaning like picking up his kids. He focused on, making those business phone calls. Whatever it was scheduled, and that's he only did what he was supposed to do within that time frame. Nothing, didn't allow anything to do. And then from 6 p.m. to midnight was his other 12-hour day. Okay, I'm sorry, other 6-hour day. So he's able to cram in 3 days into one, right? Because he's super, super hyper focused on doing that. And so it's just weird because that podcast literally was on today. And I was already thinking about it last week on Friday, actually. On Friday, I was like, man, I need to really, really focus on a couple of things that I've gotten into and then slipped up. Okay. Number one, that Facebook marketing stuff that I was working on. I need to learn how to do that, man. Because once I can learn how to do that, I can learn how to market for myself. I can learn how to, instead of doing bandit signs, I can do virtual bandit signs. I have to learn that. But I'm letting everything, get in my way. The first thing I do when I wake up in the morning, I'm checking this freaking thing, right? I'm checking this, and it's throwing off my day, right? Because now I'm being reactive. Now I'm reacting to whatever email or message I got throughout the night, instead of taking that time and focusing on, boom, I woke up and I said I was going to do this from 6 a.m. to 7 a.m. and dictate my day instead of being reactive to my day. So break your days up. What can you get accomplished in 6 hours? I guarantee you can get accomplished more in 6 hours than what you think. We've all had those days where we're like, man, I'm killing it today. Like, I've only been at this thing for 3 hours and I've done pretty much all my work. So if you can do that once, you can do it twice, right? Break it up into 6 hours. If you're not rich, and if you're on this call, none of us are rich. If you're not rich, there's no reason why you should be sleeping more than 6 hours. Unless you've got some medical issue, right? There's no reason why you should be sleeping more than 6 hours. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not trying to grind like this for the next 15 years. Like, I might as well just get a regular job at that point. I'm not trying to bust my butt. Entrepreneurship sucks in the beginning, right? Entrepreneurship just sucks. Let's just be honest. Business ownership is dope. Entrepreneurship sucks, right? No free health care, no pension plan, none of that crap unless I put into it, right? Entrepreneurship sucks. When I work for someone else, I might have been on the clock for 8 hours, but statistics show you only do about 5 to 5.5 hours of actual work. Maybe less. Some of y'all milk the system less than that. You ever see like construction workers on the side of the road, where it's like one person with the shovel, everybody else is watching, right? Right. So let's speed our progress up, man. Like, we can do this in 2 hours. In 2 years. You could absolutely 100%. There's not a doubt in my mind that you could change your whole life in 2 years. Your whole life, not even your whole life. Your whole life, your kid's life, your family's life. You can change it in 2 years, but only if we work in 6-hour days. 6-hour days times 3. So with everybody's getting a 24-hour day, what they get done in a 24-hour day, they're gonna take 3 days to catch up to us, to our 1 day. So let's put the work in, let's put the grind in, let's get to it. All right. Nobody got anything else? Love you guys. You guys enjoy watching the game?
Sorry about that. One last thing there.
Right.
Can you put that podcast, like what the name of that podcast was, or any podcast you listen to, so that I can listen to them?
Yeah, it's Ed Milet. Ed Milet. Let me see if I can find it real quick. I'll put it in the chat. Hold on. I'm just gonna type it in real quick.
Thanks, man. Much appreciated.
Yeah, man. Milet. Let me see which one it was though, because that one was dope, man. That one. Don't be trying to steal my stuff either. actually, because I'm stealing from him. Just look at Ed Milet. It's the last one he just put up.
All right, cool. Thanks, man. I just wanted to start listening to more podcasts, just so I can take advantage of some of that time instead of like driving around listening to music and stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Hey Matt, you need to check out your boy David, his interviews, man. Sleepers for Suckers. Yeah, he be doing it, man. Check out some of his interviews, man. It's dope.
All right, thanks, man. Much appreciated.
That's what it's called. This is the greatest thing you can do. This is the greatest thing you can do. Okay, cool. And nobody else? Nobody else?
Tommy, wait, don't forget tomorrow is the call that we all can get on with David in the morning.
Yes. And if you guys didn't get that, that's in the Facebook group. David is doing that. Link. That link is, I think it's supposed to be the same link. I don't think he's supposed to change it. So you can scroll on the Facebook group and see that morning call link. It's at 8:15 in the morning. Yeah, hop on that, man. It's so important to get your day started right. So hop on that. Make sure that you guys are getting yourself started, and because that's just going to take you to the next level for the rest of the day. Okay. Anybody else? No. Yes. Who? Yes. Yeah. All right. Word. Okay. What time? 8:15. 8:15 in the morning. A.M. 8:15 in the morning. All right. I think that's it. I always say that. No? Good? All right. Peace. Love y'all. Take care.
All right, everyone.